Kia ora tātou katoa, ko Sonny Pautapua hau. Ko tainui te waka, ko taupiri te maunga, ko pōtitau te whirowhiro te tangata, no ngā rawahia ahau, ko tūranga waiwai te marae. Ko Ngāti Kōruki I rawa ko me hokia Ngāti Mahanga o Kuhapū, o reira tēnei anō te mihi ki a tātou, e whakarongo ki nei kupu me ngā pātai ka puta atu I waingi o tātou te whānau. Ana I te taku tāo ki a taku hoaranga tira rangi Mārie. O reira, tēnā tātou katoa. Ka pai. You can read your questions now if you like, yeah.
What does...
Oh, ara mai.
Welcome Kaumatua, Sonny, Koro and Whaia Rangi Mārie to Woodstock School. We are very happy to have you come and share your knowledge with us. Ko rangi a tia tōku ingoa.
Ko kia kā toki ingoa.
Hai,
What does Puki Ora mean?
Puke ora, Puke ora. I see it's the name of your school, yeah, Puke ora. Puke is usually referring to a mountain or a mound or a hill. The word ora is always going to be talking about life. So the mauri of something, it talks about, yeah, generally it talks about life. So maybe, I don't know what this place was before, but obviously this school is on a hill. So you get the word Puke ora. It's more than life, it's talking about health and well-being, it's talking about looking after something. Ora is a word maybe that's more active in terms of when you talk about life, it's making life happen, it's generating life, it's generating health and well-being of the school children, at the school grounds. So it could be things like looking after the school grounds as well, making sure the trees and the plants are well cared for. But it's generally, it's about health, about the healthiness of the school and of children. I think it's a good name, Puke ora. So a place on top of the hill where things are looked after, people are looked after and cared for. That's what that word Puke ora means.
Why is Hukanui Marae our school marae?
Well, Hukanui is the name of marae out at Gordington. And so all this area that the school is on, especially around this side of town, this part of town is known as Ngāti Wairere. They are the tribe or the sub-tribe, or in Māori it's called the Hapū. And they are the ones who are originally from this land, from this area right here. And in town, right in town, where one of the bridges are, I think it's where the Victoria Street Bridge might be, around that area there. There used to be a marae back in the times before the European arrived here called Kirikiriroa Marae. And that's what was actually called Kirikiriroa. And that area there, Kirikiriroa means a long gravel of beach or down by the river there. That's how it got its name. But across the road too from there was a place called Miropiko Pā. And you can, if you go down there, you'll still see down there, there's a sign down there saying Miropiko. And the original people there were Ngāti Wairere, Ngāti Hāua, all those people there. At the coming of the constabulary or the armies during the times of the war, those people were forced to move, and they moved out to a place called Gordington. And that place is now called Hukanui. Upon talking to the Kaumatua, their hare Puke, about probably 4 or 5 years ago, he was relating to me the story how hoka, when you look at the Māori word hoka, it can mean sugar. They use that to mean snow as well as sugar. But in that particular area, there was lots of fog, mist. So they accounted that as the hoka, or the snow, or if it wasn't snow, but it's more like misty, foggy area. Hoka nui, nui meaning huge or large area. So that whole area would have been filled with fog back in that time before new housing development came. So this school is actually is on that land. This is all part of that land of Ngāti Wairere, Ngāti Hāua, and so that's preferably or possibly, I know that's why the school here would have been part of that marae.
Why is Taupiri Marae a school runner? Waikato Awa?
Taupiri Te Maunga. Well, again, within Tainui Waikato regions, we always try to think of landmarks that are close to where we live. And so around this area here, Taupiri probably would be the closest mountain. And so it will be Taupiri Te Maunga. Waikato is definitely the closest river, so you're right in that area. It was a form of saying where you live or your address or where you're from. Taupiri is not the only mountain within Tainui, there's many more. We've got Pirongia, we've got Kakepuku, we've got Karioi, we've got Maunga Tautari. There's so many other mountains, but the closest one to this school I would think would be Taupiri Mountain. And then obviously the closest would be the river. So all of those are determining and saying that Woodstock School is within that boundary, within those areas.
What else can you tell us about the history of our land around our school?
Of our land? Yeah, it's pretty much what I've been saying before about Ngāti Wairere being the main hapu in this particular area of the town. There's 5 major hapu or 5 major iwi within this area. There's Ngāti Wairere for this area, Ngāti Haua, there's Ngāti Mahanga, there's Ngāti Koroki, and there's Ngāti Tamainapo. And all of those 5, those are the 5 hapu that are the main sub-tribes of the whole Hamilton area. And so you just happen to be in the area that belongs to, was part of Ngāti Wairere. So yeah, it's great. That's it really, yeah.
In a nutshell.
Are there any important people of our area that we should always acknowledge?
Well, for us here, this area here is, the Kingitanga, which is our king, which is part of Tainui, which we do on a regular basis. Whenever we have gatherings, we always like to acknowledge people such as our king, Kingi Tuheitia and his wife, Atawhai, and the Kahuiariki. But also there's other people here too. There's elders and chiefs of the tribe that reside in this area, in this town, and they always need to be acknowledged. But at the end of the day, everybody needs to be acknowledged. Everyone that lives here, we're all part of the same people that live here in this town, and so it's part of our community. And so we're all living in a community, and we have to continually acknowledge one another. It's not that anybody's greater than anyone else, it's just that we acknowledge people. That's part of what we do is our Māori side of us. We're always acknowledging people. We're just like we acknowledge, and how you did, you acknowledge your visitors when you come. So whenever you have visitors come to the school, you need to acknowledge them by name and just be able to welcome them. Okay? Yeah, our Kaumatua and Kuia, we're not the only ones. I mean, everyone else at the school has a Kaumatua or Kuia. A koro, yeah. So it's whether you're Māori or non-Māori, they still need to be acknowledged when they come to this place. We acknowledge them. That's just part of who we are. They're an older generation that needs to be looked after and cared for, and so that's part of the younger generation's job, is to acknowledge your grandfather and acknowledge your grandmother and look after them, and that's the best we can do for them. Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to
share with you? Well, there's many other things, but it's kind of time related. But just down on the river there, it's called Waikato Te Awa, but there's a whakatauki or a proverbial saying for this area, and it talks about how at the bend of the river, so at every bend of the river, there is a taniwha. It goes something like this: Waikato taniwha rau, hei piko he taniwha, taniwha rau. And so what that's really just saying that is at the bend at every bend of the river of the Waikato, there is a taniwha. Now the taniwha is not a mystical monster of some sort. What they were talking about at that time was along the river here, right from the beginning of probably just out of Cambridge and heading this way and heading up to the Port Waikato where the sea is. All along there, and especially in the Hamilton area along the river there were parasites, many parasites. So every one of those parasites had a chief to that paha. And so when they're talking about taniwha, they're actually talking about the rangatira, or the chief of that marae. And so if you look right throughout here, I've seen the old maps of this area here, and there were many, many marae just along the river in Hamilton, and one of the biggest ones was at Pukeko, which is probably across the river from here and down a bit further. There was great marae all along this river here, and there were great Māori chiefs who were referred to as the taniwha, in a sense. So, yeah.
Tribes?
Mostly just within this tribe here, so there were just many different marae again all along the river. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you, Kaumatua, Sonny and Whaiarangi Mario, for coming in today and reminding us about our special area.
Kia ora kōrua. Ka pai.